Welcome to Chronic Health Collective, where we empower you to transform every area of your life. We've gathered the best coaches and experts in the world to bring you weekly insights that will elevate your physical, mental, and spiritual well-being. Whether you're looking to boost your energy, heal relationships, get a more productive, balanced life, we're here to guide you every step of the way. My name is Mana, and in this episode of Chronic Health Collective, we have Vince Abramo with us. Vince finds joy in witnessing the change of individuals and groups when they are engaged in healthy dialogue. She has a heart for small business and supports the mission of nonprofits to fulfill the community's needs. She has a master's degree in public administration and a bachelor's in intercommunication and public relationships with certifications in conflict resolution, nonprofit management, and volunteer management from the University of Hawaii. She is a certified coach and trainer through the John C. Maxwell team, brain health coaching through Amen University, neuroencoding certified development and leadership coach, thriving women in business, and a certified ICF ACC coach. She resides on the island of Oahu with her husband Nick, and she has 3 wonderful adult children carving their own journey. She tries one scary thing every year and tries one new recipe every month. And that can be scary too. So welcome, Vince. We're bringing it right in. Hi, Vince.
Hi, Mina. Didn't mean to scare you.
I'm not
scary during this Thanksgiving, so
everything scares me during Thanksgiving, especially the cooking part. So, Vince, I'm familiar with you, but some of the audience may not be. So, why don't you tell the audience what you do and what you do as a coach?
Sure. The first thing I'd like to create is peace and harmony within organizations and with people, especially when they're going through conflict. So I call myself an organizational peace specialist. And what I've done through my work through conflict resolution, I found something deeper that's going on with people in the organizations and in families. And that's when I discovered brain health training with Dr. Amen. A lot of the mental health situations or challenges that people go through are not shared necessarily in the workplace or families. So I work with them individually or in a group to get them to better communication.
So, Vince, let's go into what we want to talk about today. You talk about riding the waves. I know you live in Hawaii, but I don't know what that means.
So I like to surf, and for your audience members, I do have one leg. I have a disability. I've had it since birth, but I do tandem surfing with Access Surf. And I've done surfing all my life, bodyboarding mostly when I was a kid, but you always have to find a balance to paddle out. And if you're not balanced, you'll automatically just go in the water and flip your board. And when you're trying to get a wave, you have to paddle like crazy. Like you have to use all the might and all your power to get that wave. When I do tandem surfing, I do rely a lot on that other surfer to help me get the wave. And you don't catch every wave, right? There's some good waves, there's some not good waves, and then that requires a lot of balance, especially when you're up on the board. I'm up on the board usually kneeling or laying down, but that requires so much balance. So seeing that and how that relates to everyday life, right? You're not going to ride every wave. You're not going to be perfect. You might fall off the board. And with life, there's a lot of things that people are juggling, especially women or men that are overwhelmed with family, with jobs, with the finances, with politics, whatever it is, right? There's so many things that are going on. And it's finding that balance. And like I said, there's no such thing as balance, but with my one leg, I tell people I'm finding balance every day because I have to pivot. And that's how you are on the board. You need to pivot all the time, just finding ways to make sure that you're going forward.
That is amazing. And Vince, I gotta be honest with you, when I first met you, I did not know that you have one leg. I'm assuming you're like everybody else. And that actually gives you a lot of more respect, even more respect for you than when I first met you. I'm like, how did you even do it? And it it makes me so proud to know you that know you as a friend, because you're just one person that has all the excuses not to be the person that you are, but you are. So can you tell us, how do you embrace that imperfection, I guess, if that's okay?
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. And not necessarily, I've never seen it as an imperfection. I seen it, maybe it was holding me back because of society, right? Society has their own opinions. But I think innately, I was born happy. Is that weird? That's weird.
No, you're one of the happiest person I know.
And it's the positivity, but maybe I'm too happy sometimes, so I have to tone it down. But I think it comes from the Spirit of God. And I really have that take on really having that relationship and also having the humanity, right? Knowing that there is good in the world and wanting the good to always come out, because we get bogged down on all those negativity, news, everything that comes out. Um, People start to embody that and they start to be also negative. So I have a technique through the brain health training with Dr. Amen on how to get rid of those automatic negative thoughts. And we utilize Byron Katie's technique of loving what is. And we ask the 5 question. Is it true? Is it absolutely true? How am I with the thought? And how am I without thought? And then what can I replace it with? What is the thought that I want to replace it with? And then that becomes your mantra. So here's an example. So, oh, I just can't do it. I can't get on the, I don't want to get in the water right now. I don't feel good. I feel like really lousy. Is it absolutely true? No, it's not true that I feel absolutely lousy. So, how am I with the thought? I feel like, oh, I can't do anything. I'm not feeling motivated. I feel like I'm stuck. But how am I without thought? I feel empowered. I'm able to get through the water. If I make it, great, right? I'm able to get one wave. And so that becomes my mantra. And I replace that with a lot of those positive mantras like I'm empowered, I'm able to do it, whatever you can create. So utilizing those 5 questions.
So can you tell us, maybe give us a story, since we're in the holiday mode. Can you tell us a story how, from your life, how you would lean into imperfection, which ultimately led to growth?
Yes. So when I had my epiphany with a coach that I had with Center for Creative Leadership, I thought I was great at connecting with people. I was a great communicator. And when I did my 360 survey of all my colleagues, my bosses, the board members, and my clients, I found out I was not a good communicator. And I couldn't, like, oh my gosh, why were people talking about this, like, about me like this? And I felt bad. But how do I move forward with that instead of being stuck in that thought? So I'm like, how can I improve myself? So asking those really deep questions with the coach really helped up level me. And I got my master's. I was so enthralled with conflict resolution that now that becomes my business. And I really love to help organizations and people.
So, Vince, you have a corporate background,
Yes.
right? What
Mm-hmm.
drives you to pivot from corporate to now you're focusing on individuals and small businesses? Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
What drives you to pivot?
So, what happened was I was in a lot of those organizations and didn't feel valued, right? A lot of people who are in big organizations, they get lost in the mix. You're getting rewarded because you're getting a paycheck. So, shut up. You got to do your work. So true, right? So you feel like a number. And so what I found is even with the conflict resolution in big organizations, they still did not resolve it. So, how can I be effective with smaller organizations, with nonprofits, in just creating that harmony? And so it affects one small group at a time. So, I love working with smaller groups. I say I work with people from 3 to 33. So, it's easy to remember. But any kind of group would be helpful, and it just I think they're appreciative of it more, and they're more about how they want to change for the better because they work so closely with their staff.
So, how different is it between like a corporate conflict resolution versus a small business versus a nonprofit conflict resolution?
That's a really good question, Nina. So unfortunately, sometimes a conflict resolution within a corporate environment, it's only you're dealing with only one department. And so the conflicts might be in other departments, and you have no way of changing it unless you're practicing it with them. In the smaller organization, in the smaller business, it's they asked their opinion to their staff, and I was so heartened to see that the leaders that who wanted to change, they really wanted to communicate with their employees, and it was just an open communication. And with nonprofits, I think a lot of it is funding. So they have conflict. It's always about the money in the backside of their brain. So they're always trying to overcome that money situation. And it's coming from a source of scarcity, right? So if they're thinking scarcity, they're never thinking about abundance. And that's how their mind is closed to sometimes thinking of resolving some conflicts within the organization.
Which is interesting because when you talk about nonprofits, people think they don't need money, but in fact, they have very limited money.
Yes.
You don't think
And
about it like.
And my sister said, "You're going to work for a nonprofit? The first word is non."
A negative word.
And I understand the backside of nonprofits because of my master's and how they have to expend their money, right? And they have to report everything because they are using donations and funding from the government and from foundations. So they need to report everything. And I love that transparency, but they're so, I think, stressed about being transparent sometimes.
That's very true too.
Mm-hmm.
So, Vince, I am a fan of Dr. Amen. So, can you tell us how you got to go into Amen training and become a brain coach, and how does that help you with coaching?
Oh, yes, I do love him too. So with Dr. Amen, I was part of the neuroencoding group and was through John Maxwell has different entities. No one knows this, but one part of it is being introduced to all of these other organizations. And my the psychologist there, he was with Tony Robbins. He's still with Tony Robbins. And Dr. Amen created his own work also. So, but they joined forces, and that's when I was so interested in brain health because how can I help my clients a little bit more?
So do you, because I know that Dr. Amen does a lot of brain spec scans, have you actually suggested that to your clients or have you done it yourself?
Yes, I haven't done it. Unfortunately, there's nothing in Hawaii. My son has done it. It's pretty interesting, but it's all about the blood flow to the brain, and they see where the blood flow is not going to the brain, and they exactly pinpoint if someone has ADHD or have had PTSD. It's pretty interesting. So
Yeah,
that's the first thing he talks about is the blood flow.
right. I remember it being very powerful, and I can almost see how that could actually impact you as a coach helping your clients with conflict resolution, especially how it helps with attention deficit. It helps with temper, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. And we talk about how anxiety, depression, PTSD, brain trauma, yes, all of that does affect the physical part of you, right? So it's vice versa. Like it's really cyclical when it's happening. And never ever blame the person for their bad behavior. That's what I talk about in conflict resolution. I say blame the brain. Maybe something's going on with the person's brain.
So, how do you tie brain health back to balancing?
It's all about balancing when there's brain health, right? And brain health is exact correlation with physical health, with your body health. Because everything that he talks about, anytime any brain health professional talks about health, this is how it relates. Like having omega-3 is very necessary. Having a daily supplement, exercise, having a really healthy diet. Now they're very against glucose, so no, no. So glucose to them is glue in the brain. So those neurons are not firing with each other. It's actually getting stuck. So you can call glucose glue. So there's all these factors they talk about. And we go through the bright mind strategies and we look at every single thing about the physical health about the person before we delve into the psychological part.
It's very intriguing. So, Vince, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to go into, let's talk a little bit more about the holidays when we come back.
Yes. All right. Sounds good, Mina.
Welcome back to Chronic Health Collective. We have Vince Abramo with us today. So, Vince, we were talking about brain health and how it ties into balance and riding the wave.
Yes.
So now that we're into Thanksgiving and into Christmas, I know that a lot of people are going crazy with the going just too much going on, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So during holidays, how do you stay healthy with your, I don't want to say brain, maybe keep your thoughts healthy?
Mm-hmm. Having a healthy mindset, maintaining a healthy mindset. People are concentrating on the outcome too much. So, what do I get the person that I really love, right? And instead, like being mindful about what's happening in the present, right? We're looking ahead, and instead, we should look at what's going on right now. So, what are the steps that you can take to really ground yourself? And I know that sometimes it's hard to manage stress, and I like to use some of the techniques again with Dr. Amen. We call it havening, and this is just rubbing your hands back and forth, and this calms your mind. I don't know if you feel it in your body, but you start to feel in your body, you start to de-stress. So when we're stressed, our hands are cold, they start to be clammy. But when you get to that point, rub your hands together back and forth, or you can also hug yourself And
That should
this
be
is
that
fun
kind of big,
for
yeah.
him. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can look that up at savoring.com.
Oh, so it's a thing.
It's a thing, yes. Cognitive behavior therapy.
So why do people go crazy during holidays? It sounds like people should be happier, but I find that it's
Mm.
always the opposite.
And I think it's expectations, right? It's setting up something that may not happen or feeling like you need to fulfill someone's dreams. But how can we know someone's dreams unless we're them? So we cannot transfer that feeling of, oh, I need to fulfill all of what my children wish from Santa, right? Or I need to make sure that everything is filled on the table. It's okay to go ahead and do catering, right? And then maybe not being so specific about the toys that your kids are getting. Maybe a board game, and then just call it a board game, right? And not be that specific board game if you can't find it. But also taking a look at the time that you spend together. That's the better thing to look at, right? What can you do as a family or an individual to really be grounded again in the time that you have, the present moment? This is why I encourage a lot of people to volunteer, especially during the holiday. I know Giving Tuesday comes up. I talk about nonprofits. Giving Tuesday comes up. And there's an interesting documentary on buying now on Netflix and how we need to cut down our spending on a lot of things and how it affects the environment. But what you need to see is a lot of these organizations, we talk about them not having funding, is how much they can help others. And if you're thinking of like going to the soup kitchen and just feeding people during Thanksgiving, they actually need someone all year long. They are serving those people that are unhoused every single day. So
Wow.
that giving back, actually, it has been statistically found that you live 5 years longer if you're volunteering. And it also gives you a lot of those chemicals like dopamine, serotonin. It gives you that uplift that you need in your brain. And you actually find, I can feel my brain now talking about it. But you can feel your brain opening up because you feel joy and happiness that you're giving back.
So now that we talk about it, I think we're in a setting that we can feel ourselves more. I guess that's part of being mindful about how we feel. But when we are during like the holiday craziness, right? Is there any special ways for us to actually stay mindful even with all the craziness around you?
Mm. I would recommend actually reaching out to someone. I just had a wonderful phone call from a woman that is part of my Filipino Women's League. We meet once a month, and they're like in their 70s, 80s. But this woman that I take, she's 96. She's a little spry little lady. She's not even Filipino. She married a Filipino. Anyway, she's like really active. She walks like 2 miles a day. But she calls every single person and she goes, "How are you doing? How's so and so?" She remembers everyone, and that's how she keeps her mind sharp. So if you can reach out to maybe 1, 2, or 3 people today, if you can, or maybe one every day, and that keeps you grounded, having that conversation with that other person that you haven't talked to in a while.
That's interesting because when during this time we tend to see other people, but you don't actually talk the way we should be talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Oh.
so, is there any simple practices that people can adopt to maybe keep the thoughts positive and balanced?
I talked about the 5 questions with Byron Katie,
Mm-hmm.
loving what is. And then how do you want to squash the ants? Automatic negative thoughts. There's several techniques about killing those ants. But when those automatic negative thoughts come through, and I think it's from 400 to 4,000 negative thoughts that we have every day, like
Yikes.
you need to notice it. So when there's a negative thought, like, oh, this is not working, or I can't find the gift that I want, or I don't have enough money to buy that gift, or I don't want to spend time with those people. Change that thought right away. And so, also having that technique for neuroencoding, you need to change your neural pathways to find that positive thought or a good thought, a healthy thought. And then you need to embed that neural pathway, because once you embed that neural pathway and creating those connections, that will come up more than a negative thought. And this technique has worked so well. I had a woman who was addicted to chocolate. She would eat 5 bars of king size chocolate every single day. And she was a bodybuilder, by the way, and in her 60s, but she started eating too much chocolate. And she would do the technique in the store. She would pat herself on the back, say, yes, stop the negative thought in the middle of the store. And she's like, oh, I didn't buy a chocolate bar today. And after 31 days, she's like, I'd hate the taste of chocolate now.
Wait,
so,
how did that happen? So she would go to the store, look at the chocolate, and step away, and then pat herself on the back?
Yes, and that's it's a stop technique that I use. This is from Dr. McClendon. He's a psychologist as well. So thinking about the negative thought, you need to embody the negative thought first, and then you tell yourself stop. And when you tell yourself stop, you need to fill your mind with every positive things that have happened to you, whether it's accomplishment like graduating, feeling love, whoever has loved you. And if no one has ever, if you feel like you're not loved, I love you. So you know, Vince from Bamboo Shoot loves you. Okay. And if you've ever felt like you're proud of something or that you felt at peace, embody those memories that you've had, write them down, and access it. The faster you access those memories and those feelings, you get better at it instead of thinking of the negative thought automatically. Pat yourself on the back, and then you need to solidify it with a power stance. So power stance, you can do the Wonder Woman, you can do yay, you can do a, you know, and she looked ridiculous, but everyone's like all watching her in the store. Like, okay, is she gonna do this today? And she never bought the chocolate.
Wow. Yeah, but to be honest, it sounds like a lot of effort not to buy chocolates.
And king size bar chocolates, I think it's a lot of effort to eat, right? You're taking a lot of energy. I'd rather do some journaling or calling someone, right? So whatever thing you can replace it with, those bad habits, if you can replace it with positive, healthy habits, so much better for your brain and your body.
So I know you talk about neuroencoding, but it's a very fancy word, and I don't really understand it. So can you maybe explain to me and the audience what it actually means and how it helps them get through the day, I guess?
Yes, and it's the STOP techniques, the neuroscience behind it, and it was coined by Dr. McClendon. So it's neuroscience, and coding yourself. So replacing that negative thought with a healthy thought. And so you need to stop yourself, and then those healthy thoughts, those are the positive memories that you've had. Those are the feelings of when you felt love. Those are the times when you felt like, oh, wow, somebody actually valued me. You know how you sometimes in school or in a workplace, you get all those great cards that people gave you during birthday or holidays? Or you got like little pieces of paper where in the classroom people gave to you, like they gave you a compliment. I'm hoping that you all saved it and that you actually can look. So please save those positive affirmations, because that will always ground you too.
Okay, I don't have any of those.
If not, Andy can write you some.
Okay, that's on my to-do list.
I'm sure how many anniversaries have you celebrated with Andy?
30, no, 24, 25.
Yeah. So did you save all the cards that he's given you?
Yeah.
Ah, so take out those box of cards, and then anytime you feel like, oh, the world is such a horrible place, or I feel like I can't get through the day, I want you to open up those cards and look at them. And if anybody wants me to send cards, please let me know. It might take me a while. So I'll send some positive cards or prayers to you.
So let's talk about how you help, how you coach other people. How do you use like brain health coaching to play into, let's say, the mindfulness and positivity? How do you use brain coaching to help your clients?
So, brain coaching is a lot of review. So because I'm not a mental health professional, I'm not a licensed mental health professional, we do review the videos that Dr. Amen provides for us. And so he can talk about it. But then after that, I do coach on them about accountability. So we go through what is needed for the next time we meet. So some of the programs are 30 days. Some people can't do it. So I have some clients who have ADHD, right? So they choose only once a week for 20 minutes. So that's the attention span, right? And I have to work with that. And so putting all the prompts for them for the next time. So this is your homework, and this is a reminder. And I have them have a whiteboard. Everybody who is like, I do have a little have ADHD, I have to have a whiteboard to remind me of those positive thoughts or what I need to be accountable for.
So can you maybe share with us some actionable tips on how to stay brain healthy during the holidays?
I know this is going to be hard, people. Right? Glucose is going to be everywhere. You're not going to have time to exercise, right? But whatever you can fit in, please fit it in. If you have a plate full of food, maybe choose the gluten as a sliver, or maybe 2 slices of pie. Whatever you can do to just fill it with very healthy food, and also drinking a lot of water. And then also, I talk about a lot of the elements that are part of the earth, right? Grounding technique is going outside, feeling the ground. If it's snowing wherever you are, touch the snow, unless it's really cold. Or touch water. But drinking water also helps, like having water, grounding yourself with water, right? The other one I would recommend is putting salt. So in the Hawaiian culture, when we're going through mediation, or ho'oponopono is what they call it in Hawaiian, we put Hawaiian salt, or I would not use table salt. I would use like rock salt or Himalayan salt. Rub it together in your hands and wash it away. If you've gone through something that was negative, like a argument or a fight, you've had a bad situation at a store, put those salt together and just rub it and wash it away. So
you
this
just put
is
a little bit of salt in your palm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Kind of like a soft scrub.
Yes, exactly. Yes. And it's actually like being in the water in Hawaii. We go in the ocean and we call it we actually we bathe in the water. We need to get rid of the lepo, the dirtiness of that vibe, right? That bad vibes that were in the air. So getting rid of it with even the salt, not table salt. Don't do it at a dinner table. Unless they're serving Himalayan or Hawaiian salt or whatever. Pink salt, blue salt is really good too. That really helps ground you and helps you get rid of that dirtiness or that feeling of negativity in the air.
I have never heard of that. I'm going to try that when I get negative. All right, Vince, we're going to take a quick break, and we come back, we'll wrap up with some holiday drama or no drama.
Okay, sounds great, Mina.
Are you ready to finally unlock your biggest dreams and live the life you've always wanted? I'm Candice McKim, and I invite you to join me in the manifestation magic process. Whether you're dreaming of that perfect business, financial freedom, or more joy in your life, it's all possible. With manifestation magic, you'll shatter common misconceptions that keep holding you back, learn the secrets of attracting your deepest desires, and activate the magic of sacred synchronicity. Head to CandiceMcKim.com and start creating the life of your dreams today.
Be attentive to what you tune into, attentive to love and curiosity, interest and enthusiasm. Passion is love. And when we talk about love, it's love of self, love of others, love of God, love of the process. Passion is that place, that sweet spot where we are living intentionally, we are living attentively.
Welcome back to Chronic Health Collective. We have Vince Abramo with us today. So, Vince, we were talking about holiday and what to eat and doing the salt scrub on your hands. Mm-hmm. So, one of the challenges with holidays, seeing family and friends is the drama. I mean, we see a lot of it in movies. And sometimes it's actually as dramatic as that in some families. Sometimes it's not. But how do you stay positive with all that drama?
Well, and it's about having the authentic and meaningful connections with the person that you really care about, right? How do you create and maintain harmony? Some subjects will be brought up, right? Whether it's politics or religion or anything else, like people can make awful comments sometimes in the Filipino culture. Sometimes my aunt's like, "Oh, you got so fat."
This is same with Chinese. It's fine.
But I had to learn in our culture that means like, "Oh, you're healthy," right? So we have to change that thinking.
Yeah, the mindset.
But also having boundaries, right? So knowing the importance of boundaries for yourself and look deep within, like what are your boundaries? What are you willing to give up or what are you willing to not give up? And then also appreciating your personal values. What do you value? Do you value having a relationship with the other person? Do you value having harmony? And then you want to make sure that you're also holding the line, that you're honoring yourself, right? When somebody has asked you for another party, right? Maybe 5 parties a day is just too much, right? Introverts can only do 1 party and they have to decompress. Right. Extroverts get too overwhelmed and they start going to too many parties and they have to recognize their physical self cannot take it. So different types of boundaries, physical, mental, emotional, whatever it is, hold the line. And then you need to practice saying no. And that's not necessarily being negative. It's honoring yourself and actually respecting the other person. Because when you're trying to describe what your needs are, then that opens up opportunities for that other person to know who you really are. And hopefully that also opens opportunities for the other person to share what their boundaries are.
And that's interesting because I can hold my boundaries, but how do you know that the other person is also holding their boundaries? How do you know that maybe I'm crossing the line at some point? How can you tell?
And it's probably their body language. I'm a communication coach, so their facial expression. So when they're feeling closed off, right, that's already crossing the boundary. Or when they start to frown. So I tell people, when you frown and you smile at the same time, it's impossible. You cannot do two things at once. It's hard, right?
It's not
If you
natural.
smile, it's not natural. So when someone's like talking to you and frowning at the same time, they don't look natural anymore. And you can feel it, the vibration in the air. Like there's something going on. Like I may be approaching something that's not comfortable for them, or they become quiet, or they start to argue their way, like they become very defensive. So there's so many different signs that you can pick up if those people are not holding their boundary. And you can ask them point blank with very open conversation, hey, did I offend you in any way? Did I push any buttons? I'm so sorry. If this is something that you don't want to talk about, let me know, because then we don't have to approach this subject.
So, you're a conflict resolution specialist.
Mm-hmm.
How do you deal with conflicts within family members?
Yes. So
I'm asking you, Andy, because he has a lot of family conflicts.
And it's cultural, right? Whatever the culture is, and it's the family dynamics. I used to be a mediator for Epic Ohana for a family court. So talk about drama.
Wow.
And I used to have like mediations full of people, 13, 24 people. And I had to observe everyone's behavior so I could make sure that no one's starting to escalate their emotions, right? So how do you describe what you need from them? And then how do you ask them what they need for themselves? And being very respectful about what you are trying to share is also the same for them trying to share. So help them reframe what they're talking about. So let's say my auntie said, oh, you got so fat. Oh, thank you, auntie, but I think you mean, oh, I got really healthy. Is that what you're talking about? So trying to help them reframe it and trying to summarize it in a way that helps them to create healthy dialogue is so important, because they have never been exposed to healthy dialogue. And this is what I have to teach organizations. A lot of the conversations and the communication that they've had is always from their childhood, their past experiences in school, with friends, with family, with their first work environment. That always comes up. So knowing who you are and how you communicate, how you actually know what you are in conflict. So there's 5 different types of conflict modes, and this is with Thomas Tillman. I do a conflict mode instrument. I do an assessment, and this is through Fortune 500 companies. And this goes along with the Myers-Briggs instrument as well, the 16 personalities. And so there's the shark, the owl, the fox, the teddy bear, and the fox, the teddy bear, and the turtle. So the turtle are the people who avoid the conflict. The shark are the people that wants to attack, right?
Obviously, yeah.
The fox wants a compromise. You're like, oh, if you give up something, I want to give up something. The teddy bear accommodates because they want to be liked. And then the owl is the collaborator. They try to say that we want to get to a point where we're always collaborating. And that's impossible, because we're always going to behave like we were or when we were in kindergarten, right? Unfortunately. So whatever it is, maybe it might be necessary to have the shark. It might be necessary to have the turtle. So knowing who you are is very important, and how you approach that. And you can start to assess other people, right? Try to think about the other people. Oh, she's a turtle. He's a shark. Right? How do I want to approach it where I'm trying to share what I want from this relationship right now?
So does it have anything to do with how confident or not confident a person is in how you help them resolve resolutions?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And I'm Filipina. Having that Asian Pacific culture, we keep everything in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just people think that we can't share everything because we can't communicate. That's a very Western way, like over talking sometimes. We think it's very unnecessary. So having that skills of listening, right? Really listening to the person, what they need, what they want, what do you want, and listening to your heart. That really helps to know what you want. I recommend people writing it down. Like I have this difficult relationship with grandpa right now. Like he keeps bringing up these politics. So how do I want to hold the line? And I actually recommend putting it in Chat GPT.
Huh? What do you put in ChatGPT?
So I do it part of my training, and I have people experiment with it. You want to have like this conversation with Chat GPT. And please don't put any names, don't put any places down or anything like that. Please don't do that. Put down the conversation. I'm going to have this conversation with grandpa, but he's going to bring up politics. How do I stop myself from giving grandpa a hard time? And how do I want to have grandpa talk about other things? So I'm going to actually do this in Chat.
I've never heard people use chat that way.
I'm doing Chat GPT right now. I want to talk to grandpa at Thanksgiving.
I've heard people use chat or AI in very different ways, but I've never heard people use chat to help with preparing for a conversation.
Yeah, and it gives you all of the scenarios what he might bring up. So it's really interesting.
Does it take into? Do you have to feed it like their age, where they're from, what they've been through to get like an accurate answer out of it?
And I wouldn't go too much into personal things, but if you want to put something that really resonates with you, that might be a trigger for you, right? It helps to know a little bit about that. So I just put it in and it says, change the topic gently. So I understand that's a hot topic right now, but I'd rather not get into politics today. How about we talk about this instead, or use humor to deflect? I think we'll all be better if we leave politics for another day and focus on what's really important, like this delicious turkey, Grandpa. So it just came up with all of these scenarios in real time, right? But what if Grandpa keeps bringing it up over and over again and he has Alzheimer's?
Yeah.
So, and it'll come up with all of those scenarios. Because it's a neutral language, it doesn't come into account about being personal. So when I'm in mediation, when I'm facilitating, like say a negotiation, I never make it personal, because that's when you start to lose not control, but civility. You lose harmony and balance in the mediation.
So let's wrap it up to, what have you done this year that is your yearly scary thing?
Oh, good question, Nina. Ooh.
So first of all, why do you do one scary thing every year?
Because I'm such an extrovert. I'm sorry, everyone. I'm an extrovert. I know most people tend to watch these things when they're introverts, but I think it comes back from my childhood, because my mom and dad always exposed me to things because of being a person of disability, right? They never wanted to treat me like someone that needed to be kept away or needed to be pampered, or, all of those things did not help me. So they always exposed me to different things. We went fishing, we went hunting, right? Surfing, we went camping, like all of the stuff that we wanted to do on the island. They needed me to be exposed to normal life, because how can I thrive and be a normal person in this world? And besides having a job at 15 years old. So I was always like such a daredevil. I would climb trees. I would yeah, I would do different things. I would like swim with sharks, also go hang gliding.
All these things that I
But
don't do with two legs. I have a lot of respect for you.
but sometimes some things actually happen to me. Like I had a double hip surgery on the same side on 2021, and that was very, very scary for my
That sounds
family.
painful.
Yes, it was very painful. What was the one thing that I did scary this year? Oh, I know what it was. And I hate eating. So poke, right?
Mm-hmm.
So even those simple things, when I had my first child, I didn't know that I wasn't supposed to eat seafood, and I ate poke when I had my daughter, and that was not good because my body rejected it, unfortunately. So I haven't eaten poke for a long time, and I finally ate poke this year. It's been over 20 years. I was like, I miss them so much. So that was very scary because I'm like, what if I eat it and it happens to me again? That would not be good in a public place.
Wow, that was that bad. So what is maybe one favorite holiday recipe that you have? Since you say you
Oh.
start to cook.
Well, and then that can be scary too, everyone. Yeah, so I like to experiment a lot.
It scares me a lot.
And I have cooked the turkey frozen, and my poor family like couldn't eat the turkey at all. So that's why it's scary. Anyway, so I don't cook the turkey. I love Brussels sprouts, and especially with bacon. So I have to like make sure I render the fat out of the bacon as much as possible. Sometimes the keto diet is really good, especially for brains that might have bipolar, or my son has bipolar or ADHD. Keto diet is really good for their brains. So like Brussels sprouts is really good, and it's simple: Brussels sprouts, salt and pepper, and bacon, and then roast it.
So, Vince, how can our viewers get hold of you?
I have my Instagram, and that's Bamboo Shoot High, HI, and also finding me on website Bamboo Shoot. You need to have the HTTPS on it, and Facebook is just Bamboo Shoot. So you can always find me, and if not, let me know. This is my number, 808-818-5353. Simple to remember.
So, Vince, one last question. If you could coach any famous holiday character, like the Grinch or the Scrooge, who would it be? And what advice would you give them?
Mina, that's such a good question.
Just to wrap it up.
I would actually coach Lucy from the Peanuts.
Ah,
You know how she got the psychiatry little booth?
5
Because
cents.
she would always be negative, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then she was not good with Snoopy or anything like that. So what is going on with her brain? And I think it was all about control for her. Right? A lot of people who complain, the complainers in your life, they need control. So being out of control, what does that feel like, Lucy? If you're not in control, what is going on? What have you felt like you needed to control on?
That's a great answer. Vince, thank you so much for joining us today. Do you have like one last advice do you want to give to our viewers?
Oh my goodness. Just create space for positivity and togetherness. Because what matters now and what matters in the next 10 years? What are we going to remember, and what do we want to remember? We want to remember that we had that great laugh with Grandpa, that we had that wonderful time with Auntie, right? Whatever it is, how does your behavior affect the now and the next 10 years?
That is great advice. Thank you so much for joining us today.
I hopefully I made everyone laugh.
Right. So join us back here every Tuesday at 7 p.m. CST. You can watch past episodes at watch.e360tv.com in the Vitality TV network, on our YouTube channel, Chronic Health Collective. And if you'd like to know more about Chronic Health Collective, visit our website at chronichealthcollective.com. We'll see you next week.